Next, the dynamic between family members, particularly their varying responses to a loved one's condition, explores themes of sacrifice, love, and the lens one goes to in dealing with an unconventional family member. This is very prevalent, especially to Suehiro, to which is the younger brother, towards his older brother, which is Yoshitaro, his unconditional love for him. Next, society pressures individuals to conform even at the cost of happiness, and the personal toll of trying to fit a mold that doesn't align with one's true nature. Just like what I said, we see things differently, so we don't have any right to judge or criticize someone, especially with those who have misfortunes in life. And that ends our story for the um, Yushitaro or the Madman on the Roof. I hope you learned something. Now, let's delve on to the Kujiki or the records of ancient matter. Kujiki was actually very long literature of Japan. It comprised about a lot of literatures that in there, but I only choose two um, stories there, which is the story of Izanami and Izanagi and the creation of the seven islands. Will I be discussing later. Now, this is the story of Izanami and Izanagi, which is translated by Paul Jordan Smith. Now, first, the author's background. Paul Jordan Smith, 1885 to 1958. Paul Jordan Smith was an American author and translator known for his work in bringing Eastern myths and literature to a Western audience. He helped found Parabola magazine serve as its first epicycle editor. His retelling of the myth of Izanagi and Izanami draws from traditional Shinto sources, particularly the Nihongi and Kujiki, which are foundational texts in Japanese mythology. Academic focus, expert in Japanese culture, mythology, and language. Key work, Japanese mythology, retelling Japanese myths including Izanagi and Izanami. Combines scholarly accuracy with literary flair to make Japanese myths accessible to Western readers. Legacy, introduced Japanese creation, myths and deities a broader audience. Now, background of the work. Izanagi and Izanami, central deities in Japanese mythology, featured in texts like the Kujiki and Nihon Shoki. Creation, Izanagi male and Izanagi female were tasked with creating Japan's islands and gods. They steered the ocean with a jeweled spear, forming the first island. Next, Izanami's death. After giving birth to fire god Kagutsuchi, Izanami died and descended to Yumi, the land of the dead. Now, the character's web. First, Izanagi, which is a symbolization of spear, Izanami, fire, Kagutsuchi, a flame, Amaterasu, sun, and Tsukumi, which is moon, and Susanoo, the storm. Now, let's delve on the characterization. First, Izanagi, the male creator deity, strong, determined, and protective. He embodies the qualities of leadership and authority. Izanagi is responsible for the creation of the Japanese islands and the many deities. Next is Izanami, the female creator deity and goddess of life and death. He became the goddess of death because of because of her sudden death, where he was stuck into the Yumi and cursed Izanagi, and I will discuss it later on. Why she cursed Izanagi. Next is nurturing, passionate, and tragic. She represents both the beauty of creation and the inevitability of death, because even she is a god, she still faced death. Her descent into Yumi symbolizes the cycle of life and death, and her role as a goddess of both creation and the afterlife highlights the duality of existence. Next character is Kagutsuchi, the fire god. Fierce, destructive, and powerful. He embodies the raw and uncontrollable aspects of fire. Kagutsuchi's birth leads to Izanami's death, which creates a rift between Izanagi and the world of the living. Next is Amaterasu, the sun goddess, radiant, benevolent, and nurturing. She embodies light, order, and harmony. Her retreat into a cave due to conflict with her brother Susanoo symbolizes the importance of balance and harmony in the world. She is also often seen as a protector of the Japanese people. Next is Tsukuyomi, the moon god, mysterious, introspective, and sometimes aloof. He represents the night and the unseen. Tsukuyomi's character is often associated with the duality of life and darkness. Last character is Susanoo, the storm god, chaotic, impulsive, and passionate. He embodies the untamed forces of nature. Susanoo's character is marked by conflict and redemption. His character reflects themes of struggle, growth, and the importance of harmony in nature because Susanoo had a conflict with his sister rather, Amaterasu, but he won, and that way what makes Amaterasu hid in the cave. Now, I'm going to discuss the story in 10 main events only. Starting with the command to create. Izanagi and Izanami are tasked by the heavenly gods to create the land. Just like what I said earlier, Izanagi and Izanami are both deities and they were instructed to create the land or the deities as well. Because they were the creator of their sons and those islands as well. Next is the creation of the floating bridge of heaven. Izanagi and Izanami steer the ocean with a sacred spear, and the first island Onogoro emerges. In characterization, I show you that Izanagi's symbolism is a spear because that's what he uses in creating the first island, which is the Onogoro. Next is the building the palace. They build a palace on Onogoro Island and perform a marriage ritual around a sacred pillar, which also happens there during marriage between Izanami and Izanagi. Next, we have birth of the islands. From their union or their marriage, Izanami gives birth to the Japanese islands, starting with Awahi. Next, or after that, we have the birth of Kagutsuchi. Izanami gives birth to the fire god Kagutsuchi but is severely burned in the process, just like what I told you earlier that Kagutsuchi is a god of fire, right? But she can't bear it, which is Izanami, and it resulted to her death. Next, we have Izanami's death. Izanami dies from the Borns descending to the underworld Yumi, just like what I said. Then Izanagi's descent to Yumi. Izanagi descends to Yumi to bring Izanami back but finds her decomposing. Next is Izanagi sees Izanami's body. Izanagi looks at Izanami despite her warnings, discovering her decayed form. Because of the love of Izanagi towards her wife, he traveled to the underworld, which is the Yumi, to find her, but what he finds there is a decayed form of Izanami. Next, Izanami's cure. Izanami, in rage, vows to kill Izanami's curse vows to kill 1,000 of Izanagi's people each day because when Izanagi descended there to the Yumi, she thought that Izanagi would save her. However, he neglected her and goes back and left her there. That's why she want to curse. Then next is Izanagi's escape and purification. Izanami flees Yumi, sealing the entrance and purifying himself, which results in the birth of Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, and Susanoo.